Here's Dan Shapiro to help you find your edge, master your process, and own your future.
Hey guys, good morning everybody. Welcome to another edition of the AccessToTrader.com nightly wrap-up show or weekend update show. Hope everybody's doing well. Chilly air starting to come in, but it is getting one day closer to holiday time, which is the best time of the year. We got the holidays for the kids and some adults coming Halloween next week. And then we have where it used to be my favorite holiday of Thanksgiving, which I used to take down 10,000 calories in one serving. These days, not so much. But again, food, football, family, the three Fs. What else can you ask for? Anyway, guys, hope everybody's doing well. Guys, take a moment out, support the channel. It takes a second out of your time. Less than that, click a like. If you haven't done so already, subscribe. Thank you very much for tuning in. And hopefully we can continue to provide you value. Tariff schmariffs. Right? Remember tariffs? The world was ending 2 Fridays ago. Well, here we are again, right? Usually, like we talked about going into last week, you usually had about a week worth of volatility and eventually the market goes tone deaf to tariffs. That's pretty much what happened this time around. As you can see, we closed at all-time highs on the NASDAQ 100. Dow crossed 47,000 for the first time ever. And we engulfed this ugly candle from 2 Fridays ago like it was absolutely nothing. We are in the middle of, or at least the first couple of innings of earnings season. The banks reported good earnings. Netflix came out with a dud for technology. Tesla, let's talk about Tesla. I've used this expression. If you've been watching this broadcast for many years, I've used this expression countless times, but this time around really warrants this expression. And I've always said that momentum, right? Momentum is only as good as the next day's starting pitcher, right? Again, taking a baseball analogy, again, it's like having Nolan Ryan in his prime, right? On the mound. If all you guys are not old enough to know who Nolan Ryan is, well, look him up. Right? You got the Ryan Express throwing 14 strikeouts and 9 innings of shutout ball. And then next day, whoever comes in with a 9 ERA gets shelled for 10 runs in the inning of a third. That's basically what happened to Tesla. Okay. If you guys remember, I recorded the video on Wednesday night. They came out with earnings. They beat on the top line, the revenue. They missed on the bottom line, their earnings by about a nickel. The initial reaction was a little bit muted. There was down like $4 or $5. And then next day, it got absolutely murdered, right? Absolutely murdered. Went all the way down to like 414. You said, wow, it's going to test the 1010 lows. This thing's going to get absolutely murdered. And then this thing had one of the incredible rallies off the bottom that I could remember in an incredibly long time. Basically, Nolan Ryan came back in. Maybe in this case, Mariano Rivera came in and kind of saved the day. But Tesla rallied about 45 points off their lows, closed at the high of the day. You couldn't have found a more bullish setup going into the next day. The stock opens down 2 points. Not a big deal. Rallies, gets above the 450 level, trades to about little under 452, and about 30 seconds later, right? 30 seconds later, the stock goes red and gets absolutely murdered. You talk about a scenario of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You're living it, man. There's just not enough analogies that can cover what happened with Tesla. And now the question is, well, which one is it, man? Is it Dr. Jekyll or is it Mr. Hyde? We're going to find out really, really quick next week. Right now, you can see Tesla's right back into the middle of the ranges. You can see here, it's back in 20-day support, right? 20-day support here, 20-day support here, 20-day support here. It reclaimed back the 20-day support the day before. Again, one of the most incredible turnarounds I've seen pretty much ever. Not saying a long time, considering I'm like 26th year. And just to give it all back, or pretty much give back half the bar the next day is just I would say is disappointing, man. I've been trading Tesla for so many years. I traded alongside, I traded to the short side. I have no bias, but I was just so disappointed that it completely gave up its bar. But now the question is, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, what happens next, right? What happens next? Again, we're all right in the middle of the channel. Is the better value from Monday to the downside? Of course, there's better value on Monday to the downside because it's $3 off its lows versus $17 off its highs. So yeah, obviously I'm going to be watching this thing to the downside, but is for it to lose the 20-day moving average. But would anybody really be surprised or be shocked that Tesla starts rallying again on Monday? Just an absolute incredible stock, incredible result. Again, look, I think you trade long enough, eventually you will see everything. And that's kind of the good. And this is what we talk about. Everybody's journey is going to be, filled with potholes, grenades, and butterflies, right? Butterflies and lollipops and days at the beach. Because again, the longer you trade, you're eventually going to see everything. Don't be discouraged. Don't be shocked. Don't be too excited. Don't be too down. Eventually, the market and your emotions are going to even out. And that's when you slowly but surely become a professional trader. But yes, obviously a very, very disappointing Friday for Tesla shareholders, but I will definitely be watching this thing. If it loses the 20-day moving average, I will be a seller of the stock to see if we could get back down to the bottom channel. But if it starts reclaiming back the 5-day moving average, obviously, but we don't know what's going to happen, honestly. We really don't know. Other than that, you have really, really big rallies continuing. You had the quant names. If you guys remember on Wednesday's video, I said, I'm kind of done with them, right? I'm kind of done with them to the downside. And then, I think they're just overdone. I think there's better value in other places. Lo and behold, like 4 hours later after I recorded the video, you had Trump coming out and saying, honestly, I don't even remember what they said, but it was something good. It was a long week. It was something good. The quant started, really, really ripping up. You had RGTI exploding off the bottom, a nice move down. It kind of gave up a lot of its value. Honestly, the way I'm looking at the chart here, if it starts losing Thursday's range, I might be a seller again. But they had a really, really big run, 3-day run off the bottom. But what's cool about what's setting up this week, you have a lot of the older high flyers from 2024, 2025, like IREN, setting back up again, right? Really, had a big monster run. It reclaimed back the 10-day moving average. I want to watch this thing above this range here, above the October highs. It's not the October highs, but the October 20 highs. If they get above this channel, it can start waking up. Another name that's very, very interesting is Path. Path had a lot of call buying, guys. If you trade, mid, tier companies and mid-price stocks, keep an eye on this thing. They had a lot of $20 short-term expiration calls coming in. Very, very, very bullish, right? Very, very bullish. AMD continues to go just completely out of its mind. It looks like if the market rallies towards the end of the year, it's going to see 270s. Apple, after a really, really big move up, is consolidating here. I want to watch Apple above the October highs again for continuation. But Microsoft I like as well. Again, we are seeing a lot of value setups going into Monday. But keep this in mind. This week on Wednesday and Thursday, we have Meta, Microsoft, Google, Apple, Amazon, and Coinbase. You have a lot of these stocks. I'm looking for setups here. They're going to be, coming out with earnings Wednesday and Thursday. So my question is, can the market continue its rally? But more important, can these stocks get off their kind of intermediate levels and confirm to kind of get a pre-earnings run-up? And we'll start off with Microsoft, right? You can see Microsoft here on the 3-day channel here, higher lows, hugging the 5-day moving average. I want to watch this thing. It reports on Wednesday after the close. This thing's coming out of a tight channel. But the two biggies that potentially could have actually really exaggerated runs into their respective earnings on Meta's on Wednesday, Amazon's on Thursday. The reason why I want to highlight these two stocks of all the magnificent 7 names is because they have the potential to reclaim back their 50-day moving average. Again, if you are watching this channel for a long time, how emphatic I am and how, you can't even make the argument the other way. If a stock gets back above the 50-day moving average, it's super bullish. That's the green light. If the stock loses the 50-day moving average, it is bearish. It's a big, big red signal. So you got Meta that's reporting on Wednesday. As you can see, look how tight this is, guys. This is just literally just an inch away from reclaiming. You see this blue line, right? That's the 50-day moving average. This thing is just a few bucks away. Meta can start building above the 50-day moving average. Maybe we get a 3-day run into earnings. So that would be very, very cool to see. Amazon, same thing. Amazon reports on Thursday. As you can see, it got rejected off the 50-day moving average. That's exactly what you want to see the first time around, because the next time through, that is going to be a higher probability entry. Because again, once it gets rejected, it's kind of almost, I don't want to say guarantee, but it's almost a given. But the second time it reclaims back the 50-day moving average could be really, really good. Again, they reclaim, they announce earnings on Thursday. So I'm definitely watching Meta, and I'm definitely watching Amazon for next couple of days ahead of their earnings report for a potential run reclaiming back the 50-day. Again, obviously, I don't know what's going to happen on earnings. Your guess is as good as mine, but these are just setups prior to their earnings release. Nvidia, finally some signs of life, right? It's finally some signs of life. This is now the highest close in this whole formation for the last 3 weeks. This is very, very bullish, right? This is the highest close in the whole formation. We saw some really aggressive call buying coming in for end of October and actually this week, right? This up-and-coming expiration, and the beginning of November is for the 190s and the 200 calls for December. So I definitely want to keep an eye on Nvidia for potential continuation. That looks really, really good as well. And one stock coming off the bottom, right? Coming off the bottom, I usually don't love stocks, but when you see a stock like Circle that does have histories of magical runs, right? This is now the first close above the 50-day EMA, right? So it got above the 50-day SMA, and this is now the first close above the 50-day EMA. The same comments that I had for Meta and for Amazon, I want to watch as well. The only thing that's different between Meta and Amazon is Circle still has one supply zone left. Actually, you can make an argument 2 supply zones left, but you can see here, still a 65 EMA, and there's still the 89 EMA. A lot of you guys don't use the 89 EMA or the 65, but these are 2 supply zones that was introduced to me in the last couple of years. They matter. Trust me, they matter. So they still have a couple more trees to kind of tear down. But, again, first close above the 50-day, both SMA and EMA. All it needs to do, again, Circle is a big name when option flow comes in. So watch the options market Monday and Tuesday to see if this thing can really, really get going. So we have a busy week, right? We got a busy week. We want to see which way Tesla breaks. If it loses the 20-day moving average, I'm a seller. If it reclaims back the 5-day moving average, I'm a buyer. I'm watching Amazon. I'm watching Meta for potential reclaiming back of the 50-day moving average. Definitely watching Microsoft to come out of this long channel. And I'm definitely watching Nvidia to continue its break of a 2-week constructive channel. So that's it, everybody. Have a great weekend. God bless. Stay healthy. And with the Lord's help, I'll see you guys all in the field on Monday. Take care.